Hi, my name is Janelle Riley. I'm an editor at Variety. I'm so thrilled to be here today with Don't Look Up, the wildly funny and genuinely scary new film from filmmaker Adam McKay. At this time, please join me in welcoming today's guests. They are simply a murderer's row of talent. We have actors Jennifer Lawrence.
Hi.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Hello, hello.
Meryl Streep.
Holly.
Kate Blanchett. Rob Morgan. Jonah Hill.
Jonah.
Mark Rylance.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry.
Tyler.
Actor and also the performer and songwriter of Just Look Up, Ariana Grande.
Mariana.
And finally, the director, writer, producer of the film. He probably also did craft services. Please welcome Adam McKay. Thank you all so much for being here. I want to start at the beginning with Adam. This film is wildly entertaining, but also emotional and obviously so timely. And I believe you wrote it before the pandemic. Did you have any idea it would be so eerily prescient about so much?
No, we really did not. It was one of the strangest experiences. We were scouting the movie in Boston when COVID hit, and we knew there was definitely a problem on the horizon, but we didn't expect it to play out so much like the script. And once we came home after a couple of days in Boston scouting, we had to come home, and all of us were calling each other saying, oh my God, it's straight out of the script. And the denial of COVID, the confusion about masks, it was really a strange experience.
I mean, it feels like you're sort of Nostradamus here. Like, I'm a little scared about what you write next.
Yeah, it was, well, I don't think you have to be that much of a prophet to predict that that things are kind of messed up right now. But at the same time, a once every 100 years pandemic, I definitely didn't see that coming. I mean, obviously the impetus for the film was about the climate crisis, and what's a way to tell that story in a way that is funny and yet at the same time impactful. So when the pandemic hit, it was shocking and definitely jarring.
Mm. Well, I would love to know from the cast how you sort of came to be involved with the project, specifically your roles. Leonardo, I know that like Adam and the other cast members, you share a passion for the environment. Was that part of the appeal of taking this role?
Definitely. I've been looking for a film about the environment and or the climate crisis for a long, long time. And I received the script, and what was so brilliant about Adam's approach was to set it in a world in which a catastrophic comet was about to make impact with planet Earth, and to see how mankind sort of reacts to this crisis, that the whole issue becomes politicized, that inaction starts to take place, and people start to unravel when they hear news of that caliber. So that was the brilliant hook in Adam's screenplay that made me go, wow, I've never seen anything like this, because it's very difficult to do a film that's overtly about this issue. And then, of course, as our conversation started to go on, I started to see this incredible cast start to form. And of course, as Adam was saying, with COVID hitting, it became one of the most pertinent and timely, projects that literally came at this point in history that I've ever seen. I mean, I'm a huge fan of films like Network and Parallax View, and of course, Dr. Strangelove. And boy, did they say something about those moments in time. And I think this movie is one of those sort of once in a lifetime moments where you can make a film that is about an issue on the forefront of all of our consciousness.
I mean, it's obviously a very serious topic, but it's also very funny. And you have proven to be a very gifted comedian previously, but you get to be so funny in this movie. Your character starts off sort of nerdy and awkward. Was it fun to really get to delve into the comedy of that?
Yeah, it was, and certainly the atmosphere that Adam creates with all of the. First off, it was just such a privilege to work with this amazing assembly of actors that are on the Zoom here. But the atmosphere that he created for all of us, and I'm sure everyone's going to get into it, was so unique. I mean, literally anything went every single day. We had every opportunity to try anything, and he encouraged that, and that was really a gift. Certainly during these times to sort of let loose like that.
Jennifer, Adam says he specifically wrote the role of Kate with you in mind. Were you aware he was working on something, and what was sort of your reaction when you first read the script?
I still don't believe him. I, I mean, I've wanted to work with Adam for so long. I've been a huge fan of his. So that was just unbelievable to hear that he was thinking of me. And then I read it, and I mean, it just blew me away. It was hilarious and devastating.
I mean, are you prepared for there to be like stickers of you with your face saying we're all gonna fucking die, you know, being all over the world?
If that helps get the message across that we are all gonna die, then yeah, let's go.
The tea.
I wanted to ask about that actually, because obviously we're tackling some serious issues through the lens of a comedy. How do you sort of keep those scenes light despite the big themes?
I mean, you don't even really have to work too hard to make it funny. It's so realistic, which is scary. But I mean, I guess the cast and the atmosphere that we all had, I mean, we were just laughing all day long. So that was easy. But I mean, more than that, it's all on the page. Yeah.
And Meryl, sorry, Madam President, you are also a terrific comedian. How fun was it to play not only the President of the United States, but in a comedy? And, you know, they always say truth is stranger than fiction. When you first read it, did you ever think like it kind of went too far, or like no president would behave this way? And then you realized maybe it was accurate?
Are you kidding me? Is that a real question? I thought I was sort of reined in from recent precedent, but yeah, I mean, it was out of the box because it was a female president. God knows if that'll ever happen. But yeah, I mean, I was just, it was fun. But also it was weird because it was shot under COVID conditions. So we would rehearse like this with the clear shield, and then they'd say, okay, start. And I saw Jonah's face for the first time, you know, sort of uncovered. It threw me completely. No, it was fun, and but I don't think it was outrageous, sadly, at all, you know.
Can we talk about the look of the president? Because I love like her very curated, manicured appearance. I'm curious if that was a collaboration.
I think you can talk about the look of the president, because that's really all there is to her. She really, that's all she thinks about is how she looks and how it looks to the world, and, you know, retaining her position and her power and her youth and her jewelry. And her relationship with her son.
Yes, that very strange relationship. Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jonah, you play the chief of staff and I guess what they would say is the first son. Was there anyone you modeled your character on, or you were inspired by?
Yeah, Leo was the main reference to me. His sort of like ideology. I was really easy because they said he was doing it, and then I just sort of transferred him all of his personality traits to the
My brother.
Well,
no, I don't know. I mean, greed, materialism, and sort of like through the lens of the world ending, of like how it affects you essentially, is sort of Adam's script in a nutshell for me. So it's pretty easy to kind of transfer that to this guy.
What I don't think was on the page though, was you sexualizing Meryl. And
I didn't
that,
ask about that.
Yeah.
that was
Well,
funny.
because like, you know, because a lot of these things are like father and son. The first thing that I thought of was like, it's son and mother. So like I wanted him to have like try and dress like her and stuff. So he has like a Birkin and like he worships the mother instead of the father, where some of these other people you might be imagining like they're kind of trying to be like the father. So and then that transferred into a weird attraction also.
Yeah, we don't know who the father is also, so.
Yeah,
I
we don't
wonder-
know. And he
I
just
love
makes me-
the backstory that you guys improvised in one scene. Remember when you guys were laughing at Jen as Kate DiBiase crying, and it turned out that you had a thing between the two of you, that you laughed at people when they were grieving.
Yeah,
And
it's hilarious.
I kept trying to get my editor to put that in.
I know.
Outtakes for sure. Outtakes for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Meryl,
honestly, working honestly, like cannot be said enough. Working with Meryl is sick. It's awesome.
Meryl, did he give you a heads up about the sexualization, or did that come out in improv?
that was just natural chemistry on set. It was just,
Pure improv,
know.
pure improv.
he took off his mask and, I mean, it was
Sparks.
there. I thought I looked ridiculous, and yet that is what's attractive, I guess. So, there you go.
Rob, you get to play one of the few voices of reason in the film. And I love that the film tells us up front that Oglethorpe's job as head of the Planetary Defense Coordination Office is a real thing. What sort of research did you take on to play this role? Were you able to speak to anyone from this office?
Oh man, we spoke with Amy Mainzer, a young lady from NASA herself. She was very helpful, but mostly I did a lot of galactic outer space, watching documentaries, things of that nature. Read up on this brother named Lindley Johnson, who is actually the only person to ever be the head of Planetary Defense Coordinator at NASA, and to see like the particular things that he goes through with having a job that gets all this money to go out of space and like clean up junk where people are like, is there junk out of space? But then for me, during my research, I discovered that there's an Arecibo satellite in Puerto Rico that's really responsible for identifying this space junk. And while we were shooting, it was out of repair. It was broken. So literally, while we were shooting this movie, we were vulnerable for the same exact attack.
No.
Yes, and honestly, not to get anybody unnerved, but we really still could be vulnerable now, because I just Googled it last night and it's still inoperable.
Oh
So-
my God.
I know, Meryl. I gotta be honest, girl. They told me to be honest. I gotta be honest. So yes, so literally while we were shooting this, my character was thinking, yo, this really is happening as we speak right now.
But you didn't tell anyone.
I told Leo and Jen, you know, because
You
that was
did.
So what do they do about it?
Oh, you told the, yeah.
You had that information, guys.
Yeah,
That was the insane thing about finally like paying attention to comets for the first time in my life. Every other week there seemed to be a new comet that was
That's right.
hurtling its way towards Earth or a couple miles away, and
yeah.
this one's really close. And then another month later, another one was surprisingly
It was
close.
the,
I never paid attention to it until this
It was
movie,
the
but
Daily Mail, I think, loves to put out near miss comet stories.
Yes.
So every other day I would get texts sending me those stories. And by the way, they're always missing by like, 100 million miles, but the headline is we're about to be hit. But one part of the movie that was true is that there are companies that are trying to mine meteorites and asteroids. Yeah.
I've heard this. Kate, for you, what about the character of Bree excited you? And you get to wear these killer outfits. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about collaborating with the costume designer, Susan Matheson.
Yeah, look, it was really tricky because obviously, you know, it was hard enough to get people in, but getting clothes and jewelry in was really complicated. So yeah, it was all very, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I felt like I had PTSD because I arrived and you guys have been shooting for a few weeks, and my first scene was in the Situation Room, and I found myself in a human condom being transported into this gray set. I didn't know who anyone was, and they were all wearing, it was like Chernobyl. And so you couldn't, I didn't know when we were rolling and when we weren't rolling. And oh, there's Meryl, and oh, there's Jonah Hill, and hello, Leo, haven't seen you for 25 years. And, oh, Jen, for lunch. It was really very strange. So I didn't even know what I was wearing or what I said, I think, for the first few days, because it was weird.
Yeah.
And you have such wonderful chemistry with Tyler Perry, who's one of the few
Of course.
actors. Yes.
I gave Tyler my number and my email, but I haven't heard from him.
Tyler.
I said, let's keep in contact. I said, we've
I
got
tell-
the
I-
chemistry,
no,
but I haven't
no.
heard from you.
It was really, let's get this train back on track. It was incredibly
The chemistry was, yeah.
amazing
Yeah,
working with, I
amazing.
didn't know we have that kind of chemistry. It was just like we fit. That's why I got to call you. We fit. I mean, it was really, really great. And to be a part of a movie with such a great cast, my one regret is that I didn't get to do scenes with everybody, which would have been phenomenal. I think Adam should have wrote something where everybody was together. I think it would have been phenomenal, but that's my one regret, but I loved it. And I loved working with Kate. It was really great, really great.
Well, you are one of the few people who has worked with Adam before. What was it like to be asked back and to go from playing Colin Powell to this celebrity obsessed TV personality who couldn't be more different?
You know, I thought this guy really thinks I can act. He's calling me to play Colin Powell. So let me not disappoint him. Let me go in and do my absolute best. But no, to be called back again, I knew what to expect because I know how he works, and I know how relaxed the set is, and I know how much fun it is, and I know how he is clear in his vision. So it's really, really great to work with someone who's clear in their vision, know what they want, and know where they're going. So when I saw it all together, I'm like, again, I go, this guy is brilliant. And to tell a story like this in this time when we're so social media obsessed and we're so cable news obsessed that everybody's grabbing a corner, coloring a flag, and they're all going to their different corners, and nobody wants to come in the middle to talk about real things, to wrap it in this kind of thing in a movie where everybody could go and leave talking about it, I think was just phenomenal.
He does think very highly of you. He's compared you to Orson Welles.
Yeah, I've heard that before. That's thinking pretty highly of me. Yeah.
Mark Isherwell is such a specific, I'm just laughing just thinking about him. I'm sorry. He's such a specific character. I would love to know more about creating him. His look, the hair, the cadence, the teeth. Was that all in the script, or was that sort of a collaboration between Adam on all of that?
No, it was all just based on Leo, just like Jonah. Leo's a wonderful actor. He's very different in person. I discovered. It came out of the wonderful makeup and wardrobe people more than anything I've ever done. I walked into a room and there were 3 wigs and 3 different characters came out of each one. And I said, which one do you like best? And she liked the white one, and we put that one on. And then the makeup was just a lot of tape and rubber bands, and that had a certain amount of effect. And the teeth, I've never had teeth like that before, being an Englishman, of course. That was how it happened. Yeah. No, Adam and I had good talks about it before too. Yeah.
You're an amazing actor. You've done everything and you can prepare for a character, but what is it like to actually put on that wig and put in those teeth? How much does that inform the character once you have all that on?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's just fun, isn't it? I don't know where things come from, but
with all of Isherwell's quirks, was it in the script? Whose idea was the hair sniffing? Was that just something that happened in the moment?
That was definitely improvised.
Brilliant.
That was Mr. Rylance in an inspired moment. There was a lot. I'm gonna brag for you, Rylance, and for the whole cast. There was a lot of great improv in this movie, and Mark improvised this crazy speech when he paints his vision of what the future is going to be through the gates of Joachim and naked, and like none of that was scripted. So the whole cast was constantly spinning ideas and beats.
Well, Rob,
What's the name of the animal that kills Meryl? What is what is
The Bronteroct.
that to me took me out. I was like,
Me too.
he's gonna be killed by what? And then to see it, I just thought, okay, good recall. I love it.
It's a well-known interstellar creature. It's called the Bronteroct.
Oh,
And if you subscribe to Science Magazine, you'd know about it.
Science magazine.
Ariana, in many ways, the character of Riley really highlights kind of the absurd elements of culture and social media. What interested you in playing her, and kind of was it fun to sort of get to poke fun at that?
Yeah, it was so fun to play a tiny part of this amazing, incredible story. And I don't even know how I ended up here in this Zoom, in this cast, in this, I have no idea, but I'm so thankful. And it was really fun to sort of poke fun and hold up a mirror and be like, hello, does anyone want to acknowledge how stupid we're all being right now? And, you know, I feel like it's such a real thing, you know, to be, you know, but she comes around. Riley comes around. She realizes, she does.
She's
Have
great.
to defend her a little bit.
Vroom,
Yeah.
vroom, 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 vroom,
Vroom
vroom,
Vroom Army.
vroom, vroom, army, vroom, vroom,
That's a
army.
real thing, you know, like I've been a pop star for a long time. So to be able to poke fun at some of the like ridiculousness that is so real in this world and in what comes with it it was really fun and exciting. Yeah.
No, I absolutely love her, not just because her name is Riley, but I think she's the best. And you also wrote and performed the song Just Look Up for the film. Was that part of a package deal from the beginning, or did that sort of happen organically?
That was such an exciting part of it. I met Nicholas Bertel, who is so incredible. I am obsessed with the whole score. Like the whole score is so brilliant. And I love how he sort of pairs these lush orchestral strings with these bells and futuristic sounds. I was like, are you using Omnisphere for this? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, you're the coolest person in the world. That's so cool. I love him. I feel like we're so simpatico sonically. I loved working with him. And he sent me into the booth to try a melody pass. And that ended up being the pass that we wrote the lyrics to. And Tara Stinson and Kid Cudi is amazing. I love his verse on it. It feels like it could be like a real song. I was like, wait, if this doesn't end up getting
Oh, it's
make
a
it
real
into a
song.
movie.
It's a real song.
dominated, isn't it?
Yeah, it was so cool.
Can I ask a question? What's a melody pass?
So a melody, I love you so much. Are you okay? Hi.
I'm sorry, I have no idea what it is.
A melody pass is when you go into the booth and just kind of like try top line melodies. It's like what ends up becoming the main top line of the song, I guess.
Just
So-
know you've been interviewed by Jack and Bree right now. So can you sing a little bit of it? How
What's
does that
the
go? Let's hear a
belly
little bit
pass?
of it. Let's hear a little bit of it.
How can I write one?
Sounds like fun, yeah.
It's super easy. Just, you know, you got the chords and then you go in and just sing what sounds like it could belong. And then, yeah. I
By
thought
the
he was
way,
gonna,
Ariana improvised one of my favorite moments in the entire movie, which is where she's singing her song. And when she met with Bertel, she started improvising this beat of singing, of course, beautifully, because Ariana has a crazy, crazy voice.
Insane.
The moment where she sings, "We're all gonna die," it is every time. We were only able to test the movie a couple times because of COVID, but every time when that moment would happen, I would be like, oh my God, we have the biggest pop star, the biggest singer in the world, singing beautifully to the world that we're all gonna die. And I would just laugh. It was incredible.
I was so happy you liked it. That was the only lyric that actually came out when I was doing melody passes. Everything else was mumbles. And then, "I'm about to die." That was the only line that was like, I know what to say here. That was the only
Guys, I gotta cut out in like 2 seconds. I gotta go do a melody pass. So keep
Wow.
going. We'll I think it'll time out.
I'm
okay.
mortified. I'm sorry.
No, Adam, Ariana mentioned Nicholas Britell, and I mentioned that you're working with a lot of these cast members for the first time, but you do have frequent collaborators behind the scenes with Nicholas and your editor, Hank Corwin. I'm curious, these are two of the greats. Can you talk about how those collaborations work? I mean, you must have a shorthand at this point.
Yeah, it's you have to be, you're dealing with heavy metals whenever you're dealing with Hank Corwin and Nick Britell. So they have such power in what they do, and the type of meaning and emotion they're able to bring out in moments. And then at the same time, this movie is a comedy. So it was always this back and forth that I love. Between Hank and Nick and myself. And the funny thing, and Ariana knows this, like Nick can bring you everything. And we had to constantly talk about that line of what is whimsical, what is too heart-wrenching, what is, so really the experience with Hank Corwin and Nick Britell was all about tone. And the entire challenge of this movie was about tone, because you're balancing laughter with horror and real sadness. And that kind of applied to the cast as well. And it was really cool watching these great actors contend with that.
This film is very, very funny, but it ends obviously on what I would call a tragic note, perhaps even more so because this could have all been avoided. I would love to talk about shooting some of those final scenes, like Jennifer and Leonardo and Rob, that dinner table scene. What was the atmosphere on set like that day? Because very few people get to play the end of the world.
Leo couldn't stop talking. He was so happy and excited.
I was so happy and excited that it was all over for all of us, right, Rob?
I mean, I think Timothy gave us all so much comedic relief. He was improvising and was just killing Leo. And I had like a scene where like I started on the outside and I had to like walk back in the room. And so I had to wait until they called cut, but I just saw Leo's face, like he wasn't on camera, but his face was just bright red. And he like couldn't breathe. He was holding in a laugh. And I had to wait until cut to be like, what'd he say? What'd he say?
He would say the most random stuff I've ever. It was incredible.
It was funny though, through all his improv, he did there was a lot of good stuff. So the moment I'll never forget is when Leo came up to me and he said, I feel like we need one more line. And offhandedly, I'm behind the monitor, he just said, what if I say something like, boy, we really did have it all. And I was next to my incredible script supervisor, who's also a co-producer on the movie, Kate Hardman. And both of us immediately teared up. And so it was odd. It was, it's the grind of filmmaking, but at the same time, there was an emotion to it. There definitely was. But that, and then the other line is when Jen says, "We really did try," and then Rob echoes her. So yeah, you're trying to make a movie. You're pushing through your schedule, and then you have these moments that just stick out that really hit you.
I mean, it is such a tricky balance because you're using comedy to make us laugh about really serious issues while also showing us how messed up some of these things can be. And probably no more so than with Jonah and Meryl's scenes where, they're being told this is happening, it's going to be the end of the world. And your characters are a little glib. I'm just sort of curious. First of all, it sounds like there was some improvisation in those scenes, but how do you sort of find that balance between finding the comedy, and also, making it feel real? Because I know that people like this exist, that deniers exist, but it almost seems so absurd.
Just playing the reality on the page, just playing it real, because somebody's pain is the next person's comedy. And if you just play it like the stakes are real to you, then it comes off just as it's received, you know?
But it is life. It's life. It's right now. It's happening right now. And what do? I go in and watch Housewives of Beverly Hills. I do that.
Really?
So we do this. I know I'm reading everything about the climate, and it does feel overwhelming. And you think, what? And I said to Adam, when I saw the film, I was just blown away. And I said, give me a checklist. Give me the first 3 things that we have to do, because people are going to want to do. It's so energizing in a weird way, this film, because you come out and you go, oh, okay, now fuck it. This is what we have to pay attention to. It all flows from this. If we don't survive, we won't be able to watch Housewives or whatever. We won't have our lives and our children and everything that we value and love. And we constantly live in this dual reality where God gave us the ability to know what's happening, and also the desire to escape it. So, what the film does is sometimes a joke goes in better and more clearly than anybody haranguing you with some message. And this is comedy horror.
Been saying the same thing. People ask to describe the movie, and I say it's like it's a mad, mad, mad world meets The Rapture. Like it really is a comedy horror. And Meryl's 100% correct that what are we doing while we're living through this? I mean, we know the livable atmosphere is empirically being destroyed. And at the same time, and I'm part of it too, by the way, I'm not above this. I watched 2 NBA games last night because I need to get away from it for a little bit, but we really do have to start asking questions about when do we break this routine? When do we break the career track? When do we break the 24-hour news cycle? When do we start asking real large questions about what is happening right now? And we know there's other things happening, like, crazy income inequality, collapsing democracies. But when it comes down to the earth, it's I think you can be able to laugh and feel importance and feel sadness at the same time. I think that's the thing that our modern media misses, is that you can feel all those feelings.
Well, that's also very human. I mean, we as human beings, we feel all those feelings. And what I love about a movie being called a comedy with this kind of subject matter is simply this: that comedy is the anesthesia that relaxes you, that gets you to put your guard down so that you can take in this powerful and incredible message that we all need. And I don't know a better way than to disarm people, make them laugh, and then make them think and go, wow, this is really happening. And somebody somewhere, we've got to do something, but it seems so enormous. It's like, where do you start? So I think this is a great opportunity to just ring a bell and say, hey, here we are, guys. This is where we are. Let's pay attention for sure.
Mark and Jonah, your characters, in some ways, they infuriate me so much. They're largely responsible for what happens. And yet I kind of feel bad for them. Like, poor Jason gets left behind at the end. And that shot is just absolutely heartbreaking. And Mark Isherwell, like, I don't even know if he's responsible for his own behavior, if that makes sense. Like, he's just, his mind works in a completely different way. Do you find that you have to like your characters to appreciate them, or are you able to find some humanity in them?
I just ask, what made you feel bad for Isherwell?
He was just so off, and like he embraced that, which I love. There's that moment where the kid says, "Can I say something?" And he's just like, "No," and I'm like, I don't know that it's this guy's fault that he is obsessed with money and doesn't really care much about humans. It's almost like you can't blame him for his behavior.
No, right. Okay.
Look, I really like the wig. That's the thing. The wig was very endearing.
Yeah, maybe the wig gets a bit of pity. I don't know.
But did you find that you kind of liked the guy, or were you just thought he was despicable?
No, I don't. No, it's hard to. I think it's hard to play someone you think is despicable, unless that person feels that way about themselves. I suppose at a certain level he despises nature, and so that must have a connection to his own nature as well. But I don't know that I would say I don't know. Maybe I did like parts of him actually. It was difficult not to look at anyone. All my training has been to look at other actors. And what's really shocking is it doesn't seem to make any difference in the film. I don't think you can tell that I'm not looking at the other actors. And I think, what have I been doing all these years? Looking at people.
So are you going forward, are you just not gonna look at your actors?
Yeah, no, never again. No, it depends, how the film does, really, I suppose.
Jonah, for you, what was sort of your take on Jason?
I think he's a great dude. No, I was kidding. I honestly don't think there's good and bad people. I think there's just wiring and circumstance. And like, you're wired a certain way and then you're put in certain circumstances. So I don't even think he's a bad guy. I just think he's wired this way and he grew up in this scenario. And there's people because of those things that don't feel like they need to look outside of their existence to feel anything. So I think for him, he just is like, look at what's around me. I'm rich. I'm like, I'm in this circumstance. He's like, why is everyone tripping out? And like, he can't see beyond 3 feet in front of himself. And so I don't think he's a bad person. So it wasn't like I'm playing a bad person. And I'm like, you just see people like this, I was more interested in like the Fire Festival version of Jason than like the like obvious stuff you might think, like just more the culture of Instagram and like Coachella and Fire Festival energy than like, and just, and then I based the rest on Leo, and that made it easier to sort of like, I just wrote down the things he was saying to me in private and sort of put them through the butter churner into the movie. But I don't know. I think like, I don't view it as like good and bad people. I think I mean, like, guys, like, we all know people who just are selfish and can't really see that far outside of their own circumstances, and that's okay too. It's they don't know any better, and and then there's people that feel the whole world's pain, like Adam, who can write this kind of movie, and obviously Leo, honestly, genuinely, who gives a lot of his time and effort to this kind of stuff. And I'm a more sensitive person to people outside of myself, but I think Jason is like, he just doesn't know any better, man. It's just wiring and circumstance. That's it.
That's all okay, Jonah, except when they're put in extreme positions of power and they can ruin the world.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's good for the world. I'm just saying, like, it's not like he's ever going to be able to change. It's not like like these people are ever going to change, whether we make fun of them, whether we do anything. It just makes them. They just get. It's like when you try and criticize someone in your family for acting in a certain way, and they just get worse. Like,
Wiring is a great word. That's what I was trying to say with Isherwell. I think he's just wired in a way where he can't help himself.
Well, Mark, remember we had a whole backstory for Isherwell that we had played with. And the idea was that he had dealt with like a vague trauma, but the ultimate kind of center to Isherwell, which I loved, once Mark grabbed that ball and ran with it, he took it in a million different ways, was that Isherwell had gotten to a place of such high status that he no longer had to play with the social norms. And the key of that was, if you notice in the movie, he never really makes eye contact with anyone. And to watch someone like,
I love when Meryl's like, he likes you so much to Leo, like after that thing, that was genius. Like, he likes you.
And the irony was that Rylance in person has that kind of radiating disdain for all other humans. And he also does a thing where he will steal stuff from your trailer.
I know,
And-
I know, that happened to me.
Yeah, like I love Mark as an actor, but as a person, super
Yeah.
sketchy, dodgy. And then when I asked him about it, I was like, dude, you just took something from my trailer. And he said, I'm basing it on Leo.
I wanted to go back really quickly to Kate and Tyler because you're playing these celebrity obsessed, I guess I would sort of say gossip reporters. Is there some like fun that you get in sort of turning the tables? Maybe having as people who are in the spotlight. Was it fun to get to sort of parody these types?
First of all, I resent being called a gossip columnist. We're a serious journalist. We study this. We study this. And we just happen to end up on the Daily Rip. Go on, Kate.
No, but I think that there was this weird moment, and I don't know how long ago it was, maybe 20, 30 years ago, when news started to become entertainment. And I think that, we all kind of get shocked about, the truth is a kind of a mutable concept when in fact truth is truth, but somehow it sort of happened, I think, when we started to need to be entertained by fact. And I mean, that's the space that our characters operate, as Tyler's character says, try and keep things light. I don't know how you keep a comet about to hit the earth light. I don't know how like there's a lot come out of COP26 about, the movie's very funny, but in the place it kind of spits you out at is a friend of mine crashed her car when she saw the film because it is terrifying, and I think in order to really change, you have to look at things head on. You have to be frightened actually before you can really change, like personally, socially, whatever. And I think the problem is when you're kind of in the same moment, you're talking about floods in Bangladesh with the breakup of some celebrity couple, and those two pieces of information are suddenly told, you're told they're equally important. Your brain goes into overload. And I think that's that's where our characters are spat out at the end of the movie it's like, let's just talk shit about people because it's too difficult. They had the option, they're both intelligent, like a lot of journalists, that you have the option to be kind of shallow or you have the option to engage. And I think that most of the stuff that it's shallow, but it's difficult to be deep. I made that decision years ago. Deep's too complicated.
Well, again, it is such a fantastic movie. Ariana, I cannot wait to get the soundtrack. I actually love the song. And it's very tricky to make a song that's funny, but also really sounds like it could be a real pop song.
Oh, have you heard my discography? No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm kidding.
But again, I want to congratulate you all on such a special film. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you all, everyone who's watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.